In Boise, Idaho. We're going to answer those all. Guys, there's some topics in my YouTube videos that I don't always hit. I get a lot of questions and comments, and we are going to dive into 5 new ones. We've done this before. This is a whole new set of questions. So when I say top 5, I just mean 5 recent ones that really are good ones that we want to address. I am Brian Hymas, realtor here in the Boise Valley. I've been doing real estate for the past 5+ years. I was an appraiser before that. I've been at deep marketing and digital marketing. That's why I do YouTube, is because I can reach an audience that's unlike most traditional realtors. But I do this to educate you guys on Boise. Obviously, you guys are thinking about moving to Boise, and you want to find out everything you can. We're going to dive into 5 good topics on your journey here to Idaho. So last time on this afternoon, we had a resident got on. It was pretty cool. Great answers for all we could hear. We had some connection issues. We'll get another one on soon. 2 weeks ago, we had a lender on talking about the market. And today you get me talking about the top 5 FAQs from the YouTube videos. If you are moving to the Valley, guys, there's no greater compliment that I can receive than a phone call, a text, an email from you. Then from you guys asking me to be your realtor. That's the reason I do these things. Ultimately, is to help. That's number 1 reason, is to help. Number 2 is if I can help while being your realtor. So happy to give out all the free information too. If we don't drive, you guys will know that. That's the beauty of you guys watching me through YouTube, is you'll know if we are a good fit for each other or not. I'm like, I'll bend over backwards to make you guys my clients. And when you're my clients, bend over backwards to make all those dreams come true, Idaho dreams come true. Because that's really what you're seeking, right? I talked to someone this morning. I talk to people all the time about why they want to move here, and it is seeking to be around like-minded people. So without any further ado, let us get started with some of those questions. And I want to see if I can move my camera over. I don't know if I can. Nope. Yes. Video input. Okay. I want to see if I can move my camera over here. Good. Camera is now over here. We will be, now I can see a little bit more what's going on. So, okay. Guys, Jean, let's start out. Jean is my amazing assistant. She's in the background. She's running all things. A lot of the questions she'll bring up, the stats she'll bring up, collaborate on that. And she is the brain behind a lot of this. So let's get into number 1. Nice timing. Okay. Ben, from 9 months ago, he says, hey, can you tell us about employment and crime? So 4 people like this question. We answered them on YouTube, but I want to talk about employment and crime. First, let's talk about crime. So I want to rewind the clock to a year ago. I had these buyers in town. They're from the Puget Sound area, a little bit outside of there. And they came in and they were talking about how, and I shared this story before, they were talking about how they were at Dick's Sporting Goods the week they came to Boise to check homes out. They were at Dick's Sporting Goods. And when they were checking out there was someone who walked out, arms full of clothes, and swiped a mug on their way out and just walked straight out the door. Apparently, it's $900 and below that you can shoplift and or steal, and the police don't care about anything. So they told that story, and as a way of saying, that's why we're moving to Idaho. We still have rule of law here. We can pull up a bunch of stats. In fact, Gene, will you pull up some of those stats that we were looking at before? And we'll look at some of these stats on crime and things. These are just interesting as a whole. A lot of you guys will say, hey, is this a good neighborhood? Is that a bad neighborhood? I can't really speak to that by law as a realtor, but you can kind of get an idea of where things are heading. So like Ada County has a negative change of a negative 8.06. Canyon has a change of negative 10.66. By the way, Canyon County is such a good changing environment. Gem is down 5.57. That's Emmett. And those are really, Fruitland is out there in Payette County. And so what's Payette looking like? Oh, it's not on here, which is fine. Don't find it, Gene. We're good. But I've gotten some Fruitland inquiries lately. But for the most part, I'm in Ada and Canyon. And so you can see some good trends in those areas. They've just done so much work in Canyon County when it comes to crime. I would say I'd feel comfortable. In fact, I live in Canyon County now, right? For a lot of you who guys have followed me on my channel, used to live in Ada County and in Eagle. We moved out to Middleton, Canyon County, unincorporated. It's 3 houses from Middleton, but it's unincorporated Canyon County. So that's where we are right now with crime. Another crime story for you. So do you guys remember a year ago, there was a shooting actually at a public mall here in Boise. It was about a year ago. I literally that the next day, 2 buyers called me and said, we're not moving to Idaho anymore. Totally understandable. News got to them. Makes sense. But what I called a third customer up because they were thinking about moving to Idaho, and I said, hey, I'm just curious. You guys said you're still moving forward, right? And like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so you guys heard about the shooting? Like, oh, that's such a joke. I said, why? Why is that a joke? He's like, just last night outside my business complex, there was a shooting that killed 4 people. This is in the state. This is Washington. Like last night, 4 people were killed, and he said no news reported on that. No news. Same guy reported that his and basically he was saying the news is going to report what it wants to report. It wants to get people away moving from Boise. It really does. It doesn't fit their narrative, and so his point was they're gonna say what they want to say. They're gonna get the news saying what they want people to believe, and so that's what they're going to believe. That's what they're going to pitch out there. So another story. Here's another crime story for you. Let's tell it. So now we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the next one. That's 2 crime stories for you. Maybe if we have time, we'll pitch a third one out there. Gene, next, we're going to talk about employment. So unemployment rate in Idaho is 2.8%, which is super low, right? So the Fed has even talked about the unemployment rate as a whole in the nation. I think they want above 4 or 6, can't remember. But the unemployment rate in Idaho is lower than the national average. So that helps point that. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, let's go back to that crime story. The crime story. So there was a guy in Washington, and he said that one of his work trucks was stolen, and it had $100,000 worth of equipment inside, and it was stolen. So he calls the police station, says, "Hey, I have a stolen vehicle. I need to report." And they said, "Oh, we can't help you." Okay, so he gets on the Facebook page, and some sort of Facebook page for people to report crimes and help each other out, since the police aren't doing their duties up there. And might be respectfully so, because of the lack of respect that some jurisdictions have had for government, for the police. So they wouldn't help. And so he goes on the Facebook page and says, "Hey, I have a stolen vehicle. This is the description. This is what it has on it." And some person says, "I've seen a car like that under such and such overpass. Go check it out." So he goes and checks it out. The police station says, "You can't, there's nothing we can do about it." He calls the police station. Look, this is no joke. Calls the police station, says, "Hey, I found my vehicle. Take it off the books." They said, "Don't touch that vehicle. Do not go in there until we inspect it." Wait, so you're telling me you're not willing to help, but as soon as he finds his own car on his own and plays detective, that he can't access his own personal property? What a joke. What a joke. That's why people are moving to Idaho. That stuff does not happen here. This is a rule of law. We've got police. They back the blue here. We've got conservative values. This is the place to be. I honestly believe that Idaho is your place, because this is I have to pinch myself when I wake up. This place is amazing, and I really think you'd love to be here too. Next question, Gene. All right, so GSO podcast. This is an interesting one because this is not my typical strength is talking about walkability when it comes to areas. But hi, I'm wondering something. How's the walkability in Boise and the surrounding areas? I'm visually impaired and unable to drive a car, and I'm considering to live in Boise someday. Thank you, GSO podcast. Would love to contact you and talk about your podcast. That's pretty cool because you've chosen to do. It sounds like you got a podcast and you are visually impaired. That's way cool. Love that you're trying to and probably thriving in and not just feeling sorry for yourself. That's awesome. When it comes to walkability, Boise, downtown Boise is the area that's walkable. I know some people in North Meridian that bike to work in downtown Boise. You've got sidewalks. They're really making a big push for sidewalks and bikes and things all over town. There's actually, this might not be the most common fact. I know this because my father-in-law was an accountant in this city, in in California's largest budgeted city. And they would receive money from the federal government to put up those, those intersections that have like lanes, and then also they have this dotted dash line for like pedestrians or bikes. The federal government subsidizes that if you do that, because they're trying to make the, more walkable, more people on bikes, less emissions, things like that, which is, good or bad. We can argue that another time. There's definitely some good to it. There's definitely some negative to it. But anyway, so you can, because of the sidewalks and the intersections, you can bike a lot of places. When it comes to walkable and having things accessible, downtown Boise is the area for that. I would not move to Eagle or Meridian banking on walking. However, there are communities. There's 55 and older communities. There's Pine 43 that has there's communities that are like built out with shops around them. Like if any of you guys have researched Utah, there's a place out there. What's that place called? It's got like theaters and houses and shops and retail and restaurants. Like those are far and few between here, those master planned like communities. But the walkability is definitely a downtown area type of thing. Let's hit that next question. This one says, Mrs. Katie S., what are the best schools, public or private? Okay, so Katie, I'm not allowed to really talk about like schools and things. It's kind of an interesting subject. I'd love to talk more about them. I can just talk about experiences though and let you draw your own conclusions. But I do want to bring up the top 20 elementaries and talk about those for a second. We're going to talk about a couple other schools as well. But you'll see that when we look at these elementary schools, so we have elementary school in Troy, that's a small town. Charter school number 2, 3 and 4 are public. 5 is charter school. 5 is a school of the arts. 7 is a charter school. 10 is a charter school. 16 is a charter school. 19 is a charter school. So you have all of these charter schools that hit this list. Comparatively speaking, there's a lot more public schools. So charter is really a popular way of doing the schools right now. Charter they're still publicly regulated. There's some things that you like. When North Star Charter, our kids went to North Star Charter, we loved it. North Star is what number on here? 5. It was located we first went to school there because it was within a mile of our house, and then we discovered how much we loved it. Now we've moved away. We do a private school for 2 days a week, and we do it's called Legacy Academy. Very high Christian valued school, and we do homeschool for the other 2 days a week. So we do a 4-day a week school. But when we were at Legacy, I went to a parent-teacher meeting, a school board parent meeting, and we were trying to rewrite the charter for the charter school. And someone's like, "Why can't we just say Christian values?" And like, basically, what this school has become is a highly Christian value school, but we can't say Christian in that because it's still governed by, it's still a public school. So they had to be careful with that, right? So they're in charge of buying their own land and things. There's other things with charter schools that make them different. They rely on some donations that the full elementaries and middle schools and high schools don't get. But that is something to keep in mind. Is charter schools are a lot of bang for your buck. Let's pull up the middle schools, Gene. If you have middle schools, I think you have middle schools and high schools. Let's pull up the next one. Okay, high schools. So North Star. So North Star is a K through 12. So and then Coeur d'Alene Charter, Renaissance High School, private school, Sage International. On the other, that's one downtown. It's like East Boise. East Boise is a more liberal-minded school. McCall Donnelly, Thomas Jefferson Charter is that name again. Boise and Timberline. Century and Pocatello, Moscow, Coeur d'Alene, Eagle, Rocky Mountain, Twin Falls, Valley, Bora, Troy, and Marcy. A lot of public schools on this one. The top 6 highly concentrated. The top 4 are not public. 5 is public. 6 is charter, and then a lot of public schools. So kind of gives you an idea there. We absolutely love the school system. I just got off the phone with someone from Vancouver, Washington this morning. She was talking about schools and CRT and things like that. And it's been outlawed here by our governor. That doesn't mean the system's perfect. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be anything it's not going to be that you support everything 100% when it comes to moving to Idaho, but definitely more conservative, more reserved. And there's definitely teachers who agree with that. And there's definitely teachers who don't. I would like to think by experience that most of the teachers do. Next topic, Gene. Okay, next top 6 colleges. Okay, cool. This is NNU and College of Idaho, Nampa and Caldwell. They're both in Canyon County. Private schools. I think College of Idaho is the most expensive school here in Idaho. Idaho College of Osteopathic Medicine might be more. Boise State University, by size, it's awesome. They've made a lot of strides. 30 years ago, you had to have a pulse to get in, and now they've increased those requirements just a bit more. So let's go to the next one, Gene. Let's see here. All right. Hi, I'm moving from Boston, and over here I just want to use public transportation. Where's the best part of the city to get public transportation? So, and the public transportation map, you really want to be close to the freeway, and you want to be close to that State Street. There are other stops along the way, but those are the two main ones. There's not. If you're coming for subways, probably not your best place. But we do have a bus that takes you in. By law, it actually has to be cheaper to ride public transportation per individual than it can be for your individual. Driving your own car, so it is cheaper. And they do have Wi-Fi, so somebody can work on the way. And it's actually not a bad deal if you go into downtown because they can drop you off right at your work. I think it comes every half hour. It's not. It's probably more than that. Don't quote me on that. It's not your Boston, your DC, your New York. Chicago, it's definitely not like that. It's a bus system, but yeah, it's good. It's not great. I wouldn't say that. I don't know. Well, I do know that ACHD has made some plans to increase some of that sharing the ride and walkability. It kind of goes back to walkability and sidewalks and bike lanes and things like that. So if that helps you. Let's see. Next question. Do Boise natives really hate newcomers so much, or is that an exaggeration? I have found as a whole, I would say myself even included, as a whole, we're a little apprehensive. And even though I sell to you guys, like I said, we were a little apprehensive of who is coming, but not where you're coming from. It's not so much that if an out-of-stater is moving here, like I take so much pride in Idaho. I want Idaho to stay Idaho. And if that's you, then those are the phone calls we want. And you can see the number flashing on the screen. That's the phone call or text I want. That's the email I want. It's people who want to keep Idaho, Idaho. So many people move here with those good intentions, and then come to find out all they're looking for is they want the conservative values, but then they want, I've told the story before too. Like when it snowed with Snowmageddon 6 years ago, it was like, yeah, we want to live in Idaho. And then all of a sudden, hey, how come no one's snowplowing my private street? Like, well, they're plowing the main roads. Like, well, we should legislate. No, we shouldn't. Like, we don't need legislation on everything. We don't need to be overly regulated. And that's what keeps Idaho. We aren't overly regulated. So I went to a school board. I told you a city council meeting. Did I tell you that? No, I didn't. Went to a city council meeting 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, almost to the day. And they were talking about how they were going to put in this. It's currently zoned behind my house for 1 acre lots. And the developer wanted to do a fifth of an acre lots. And they were arguing. Anyway, going back and forth. And everyone does this testimony. And they were trying to advocate that they get a neighborhood in there, and they're going to put in so many parks and the sidewalk that connects to other sidewalks, and they'll even put in a temporary stoplight at a certain road. For one thing, the road doesn't need it because it's just for country life. Okay, it might be a little busier than they're used to, but it's not that bad. I waited there today for 3 cars, and I was only at the intersection for like 20 seconds. It's really not that bad. But afterwards, the developer who's from Utah, someone went up to the developer and said, "Hey, sorry, it didn't work out for you. We're just fighting for us, and you're fighting for you." And the developer said something like, "You guys ought to fix your own crappy town." It's just funny because, crappy town or non-crappy town, like that's who we don't want in this place. One is the attitude, and two, we're fine. Like we're fine waiting in an intersection for a little bit. We're fine driving a slower speed limit. We're fine with the onion smell. We're fine with the cow smell. The country's great. We love our own crappy towns. So if you think you need to improve our crappy town, then we probably don't want you. So if you're wanting to keep Idaho, this one is totally meant for you. So Let's see, guys. I don't know if we've had any questions come in. Um, let's see. I haven't even looked. Wow, no questions are coming. I didn't ask though either. So if you have any questions that come in about some of the top, questions on your mind, or if you want to dive in deeper into those topics, maybe it's totally off topic and want to talk about the market. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to do that while those questions come in. Write your questions down as fast. It actually lags a little bit until I see. I have this little sidebar in my screen here that I see, and so I'll give you a few seconds to get those comments in because anything you have. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable moving to Idaho. Right now, interest rates are up. We've talked at length about when those interest rates will come down. I've got 3 people who are trying to sell a house that I don't have a crystal ball, but I've shown them stats and we've come to the conclusion that we're going to list turn of the year. And if you want to know why, we can dive into that. If you want to talk about those top 5 FAQs, we can dive into that. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we can just see you next time as we really dive into everything that is Boise, Idaho, whether it's Boise, whether it's real estate, or whether, and you guys can say bless you, just kidding, and what anything like that. So we can dive into all that. And also, if you're watching this live, please do put a hashtag live. And if you're watching this replay, please give me the replay. That helps me when I see those questions come in later. It helps me respond to those and know that you didn't watch that live and your question wasn't responded to. So, guys, thanks for hanging with me. Totally love hanging with you guys. This every 2 weeks. Next live is November 15th, Tuesday at 6 Pacific time or 7 Mountain. We are going to dive into the market. That's our every other week we do market, and every other week we do a grab bag topic. So if that is you want to learn about the market in Boise and house buying and everything else, please tune in. Would love to see you there. And if you have any questions prior, you can hit me up at Brian at brian@brianhymas.com, and you can send in those questions and I can get prepared for next time too. I love those questions. Absolutely love diving into those questions to hear all things that are in your mind, because the market changes every day. Where you're coming from changes. The lady I was on the phone with today, she's got the same questions that a lot of you have, and I'm fortunate enough to have a system and a pattern down to help you guys who feel like political refugees, who want to come to Idaho, who have job concerns, who have money concerns, who have timing concerns, who have logistic concerns. Those are all normal. And I've done this enough times where that 1, 2, 3 easy buying process really comes in handy. The first and most important thing we do is get on a Zoom call together. The second thing I should say, because the first is the call or text or email from you. All that needs to be is, hey, Brian, I want to get on your list. I want to get on your radar because we're planning on coming to town such and such date. I say, okay, cool. With that, I want to get on a Zoom call, and I want to organize when we get on a Zoom call because that will save you so much time. It'll save me. It'll put me on the same page as you. It will really narrow down the shopping list that we're not just using a buffet approach to home buying, but it'll actually hone us in on, finding out from that buffet example, if you like steak, potatoes, vegetables, corn, drinks, desserts, whatever it is, we want to really hit that one. Not just, you'll know whether you like the 5-car garage or 2-car garage. You'll know if you need 2-story houses or 1-story houses. You'll know if you need pink doors or white doors. These things that you'll know, they need to be communicated because just even today in my call I got from a lead this morning, they said, we want a large yard. Guys, large yard is so, it's very objective. I've heard of people want a large yard and we got a 0.13 acre lot for them and their dog. Their definition today was a 1/4 acre. For me, a large parcel is like 2 to 3 acres, in terms of if it's all relative to what you've, experienced and what paradigm you see life in. So, hey, if nothing else, guys, with no other questions coming in, we're going to see you next time, Tuesday, November 15th at 7 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Pacific. And if you have any questions in the meantime, or any pre-topics or anything, or any guests you want to see, please leave a comment on this, or email me, brian@brianhymas.com. That'd probably be the best spot for a topic suggestion or a question like that. And we'll address it in the next live, or I'll even maybe address it next live and respond to your email as well. I respond to every email, every comment. Those are all me. I don't outsource that stuff out. So if you have any of that, please let me hear it. and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for coming.